Frank Schaefer, and I'm standing in one of my favorite places on earth, Massachusetts General Hospital. And I want to talk about the moment we are in, what I want to call the Trump moment. So please don't throw your phone or your iPad across the room before I'm finished, but listen to what I have to say. We are in the Trump moment because of the failure of American liberals to adequately address the class system we have in our country, the difference between the very educated and the very wealthy and everyone else. The reaction to this has been massive. The pushback from ordinary Americans like me has been massive. And as a result, we have Trump for president, someone I didn't vote for. The good news is that it's about time that the educated, wealthy establishment get a wake-up call from the rest of us saying, listen, we are sick of your snobbery. We are sick of your elitism. We are sick of the fact that we are treated like an afterthought when universities like Harvard have billions of dollars in reserve, when the sciences and the people who really do know things are in a class that can hardly be reached by ordinary Americans. It's time for a pushback. It's time for the left wing and the liberals and the Democratic Party to stop playing games with culture war and to understand that, as I said in an earlier commentary after the last election, we liberals may have the pronouns, but they, the Republicans, the Trumpers, the MAGA people, have the White House, both houses of Congress, and the Supreme Court. So I would ask my liberal friends right now, how's it working out for you? How has fighting culture war issues all these years, for 50 years since Roe v. Wade, worked out for you? Not so well. But, on the other hand, standing here at Massachusetts General Hospital, what you might call the spear point of American medical science, it's not lost on me that this hospital has saved my life numerous times precisely because of elite education, because of science, because of the fact that herbal remedies do not cure cancer. Herbal remedies would not have cut the cancer off my forehead 6 weeks ago after a biopsy done here by a good dermatologist that was looking out for me. Alternative science and conspiracy theories would not have gotten the first 2 polyps in my first, when I was 50 years old, I'm 72 now, in my first check for colon cancer. The first colonoscopy I had got 2 cancerous polyps out, and I'm still here. And I came back every 2 years for more screenings, and now it's every 5 because I'm okay, but I'm still here because of that. And you know, my wife this morning is at a dermatology appointment getting some facial stuff checked. She's fine because 10 years ago, they caught a cancer on her forehead early because real science is, I'm afraid, real science. And whether her doctor was an elitist, an overeducated Harvard grad or not, the fact of the matter is to replace him with dumb people by cutting federal funding to places like Massachusetts General Hospital or our elite universities is not the answer. The answer is for liberals like me to begin to understand that culture war is a dead end, that equity and inclusion and all the rest of this that has backfired on us so severely now, backfired for a reason. And that is because people, ordinary Americans, are sick at being preached at as if somehow because we have to accept science, which is a great thing, I'm alive, I'm standing here because of the science en masse general, which is a great thing, does not give the rights to our very educated people, whether in the medical profession or in the sciences or anything else, to preach to the rest of us about how to raise our children, whether we should homeschool them or not, whether we accept transgender rights or not. All of these things are debatable, and we should talk about them. But the fact of the matter is, the Democrats went astray by building a political party around preaching to people about how great we were. Virtue signaling. The same for environmental issues, real science. I live near the water here in Massachusetts, and we get flood tides across what used to be grassland every winter now that we didn't get when I moved here 47 years ago, because the climate change is real. But it's not real in a way that gives people who understand the science or who think they do the right to preach to the rest of the people as somehow a super elite that makes the rest of us feel like know-nothing fools. Those who voted for Donald Trump are not a basket of deplorables. They are not clinging to their guns and their Bibles. They are sensible people. They are parents, they are moms, and they are dads. They're having babies, which is more than I can say for the egg-freezing crowd of the liberal left that lives on the Upper West Side, where I used to have an apartment in New York City. Let's just be straight about something. What the left really wanted was to virtue signal to everybody else that somehow we are less enlightened than they are, less moral, and that somehow alternatives to sexuality, alternatives polyamory, whatever the next cool thing is the New Yorker writes about, that all of us are idiots who don't want to try this, who want to stick in traditional marriages, as I have for the last 55 years with Jeannie, with our 3 kids and 5 grandchildren. So look, let me describe the Trump moment to you. It's a moment when the liberals, the left, best represented by the scientific approach to life right here at Massachusetts General Hospital, should take a deep breath and say to ourselves, because I am one of these people, I am of the left, I am a liberal, hey, where did we screw up? Trump was not elected because the right-wing are idiots. Trump was elected because we have made people so pissed off with our culture war antics that they have felt they are living in a time of chaos and change. It's not just enough that, I'm doing this on an iPhone 16 and then there'll be a 17, 18, 20 AIs coming along and all those changes. But we've been told there's no such thing as sex differences between men and women. That if we don't say he, him after our names, we're somehow lesser citizens. Enough of this crap. All right? Those are all things that are debatable, but they're not debatable in a way that cuts off others and makes them feel inferior and stupid. They're not stupid. The ordinary values of monogamy and chastity and marriage and child raising and love stories, these haven't changed. And the left should get with the program and understand that when you make people challenge the things that are the very basic foundational elements of their life again and again and again and again and again, you are going to finally piss them off, and now they're pissed off. But here's the bad news. Here's the bad news. The pushback was long overdue. May we learn from it. But here's the bad news. Trump is doing some very stupid things. He's defunding the kind of science and programs that make Massachusetts General Hospital and other nonprofit scientific research centers around the world look at America as the envy, including, by the way, our air traffic controllers and safety record we have. A moment he politicized seconds later after a collision, instead of just saying he was so sorry and waiting for our authorities to do their job and investigate, right away he had to start playing games and saying that the crash was because of inclusivity and hiring practices. And that is just utter bullshit. Whatever the reason why, it wasn't because some black woman was at the controls somewhere that night. It's because of a system-wide failure, okay? That's on all of us. And politicizing that is just the first bite of the kind of stupidity we're going to have to get used to, politicizing every single situation that comes along. This is so ridiculous. And he, by the way, my message to my friends, and I mean friends, I don't mean, some of my best friends are blacks and Jews and gay, that sort of bullshit. I mean my friends who live on my street who voted for Trump. He's going to disappoint you, because at a certain tipping point, the stupidity that he practices by defunding programs that work, like say here at Mass General and the science that funds, or by politicizing every single situation that comes along and every tragedy where as president he goes in there and blames some kind of inclusivity program for something that obviously has nothing to do with that. Whatever it is, the deconstruction of our military by somebody totally unqualified to head the Defense Department, people totally unqualified like Kennedy, who is a crank, who is a vaccine denier, getting in the way of places like Mass General that is doing real science and saving real lives that I can bear witness to, finding cancer in my colon 20 years ago, so I'm alive today. By the way, my dad had a father who died at age 47 of a stroke because he had the kind of blood pressure that I have. By the way, I've been on medication for that for the last 25 years from a doctor here at Mass General who caught that early and saved me. So let's get it real. There was a good reason Trump was elected, and the pushback from the right is legitimate because the left have been really, really stupid and really, I'm sorry, annoying. Okay? It's time to hear from the majority. But sadly, the person who stepped up for the majority is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is driven by inner demons of anger and vindictiveness. And, I'm sorry, stupidity. His voters aren't stupid, but he is. He's clever. But that's not the same thing as being bright. And the tech bros that all got pictures taken with him are going to so regret those in 5 or 6 years from now when he's been totally discredited, because if this stupidity continues of defunding the federal government, of defunding things, of putting people in charge who are unqualified, people who question science in charge of scientific medical programs that mean that you and me can live long, good lives if we listen to our doctors. It's all going to backfire. And so we're going to have a double tragedy. The left, who betrayed America by becoming snobbish and elitist and preaching at us and telling us to have he, him, and she, her after a name, or you're a lesser person, basket of deplorables, clinging to guns and Bibles. That's not the answer. But on the other hand, Trump's stupidity will take the right down. And the Democrats have a chance to come roaring back, not just at the midterms, but beyond that. But if we do rebuild a liberal Democratic base in this country, and after learning our lesson to not be snobs and idiots again, then all of this will have meant something. And all the suffering that's going to be caused by Trump's stupidity as ordinary people are hurt. All the suffering that's going to be caused to our farmers because there's nobody to pick their crops after he's arrested and terrified migrants. All the suffering that's going to be caused to all the Pentecostal churches as half their members are arrested and deported because, yes, those brown people, those Hispanic people that voted for Trump, those black people who voted for Trump, understandably, because the left has betrayed basic values in our culture. Nevertheless, they're going to be so disappointed. It's going to be such a tragedy. That's the Trump moment we're in. A tragedy. Yes, we needed the pushback against the stupid left, the elitist left, the dumb, out-of-touch left, the politically correct left, the woke left, whatever you want to call it. But that pushback is being conducted by a vengeful, stupid little man. And the tragedy will be compounded. So if you're a Democrat, if you're a liberal, if you're in the center, or you're a Republican, whoever you are, let's all put this country back together again from the chaos Trump is unleashing on us when we have a chance. Let's remember that the glory of America is places like Massachusetts General Hospital. The glory of America is the very base that we have in science and in knowledge. And to question this by putting somebody like Kennedy even within sniffing distance of our medical establishment is so stupid. You'll pay for it personally. You won't live as long. If conspiracy theorists take over and destroy and create chaos in places like Mass General, Mayo Clinic, all the rest, why do you think that Saudi princes and other people fly from all over the world to get their medicine at places like this? They're not going to herbalists, and they're not going to vaccine deniers. They're not going to Kennedy. They're coming here. Let's just remember that. Reality is reality, and when this chaos of the Trump era is done, let's rebuild something worth living in. Let's make sure that next time you go for a colonoscopy, you get the result I did. Let's make sure that next time you have skin cancer, you get the result I did, that they save your life in places like this. Thank God for Massachusetts General Hospital. Thank God for science. Thank God for modern American medicine. Thank God for the people who do their job every single day. Let's get together and push back, all of us, left, right, together. Let's, the sensible people in America, unite to do something about this. Let's survive the Trump chaos together. My name is Frank Schaefer.